welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today. Happy Thursday, everyone. I'm excited to be doing this video. We're going to talk all about 2024. I created something really special for you guys. I made a list of just some micro 2024 horoscopes for the 12 rising signs. If you guys like my content, you want to see more of it, make sure you click the bell button below so you're alerted as to when I have new videos coming out on the channel. As always, I appreciate your likes, your comments, your shares, and do consider joining my memberships and supporting me as a full-time content creator. Well, a quick video touching on the 12 signs for 2024. I did do a video previously where I talked about some of the biggest transits of 2024, but today I'm going to be looking at the biggest transit for each of the 12 rising signs. I'll be offering some candid advice, and this is only a fraction of the kind of overview that I'm going to be doing for the astrology of 2024. Primarily for the sake of time. My schedule is pretty crazy right now, and I'm just trying to keep up with the content schedule in the midst of an ever-changing schedule of my own life. But also, I'm offering this in preparation for my New Year's Day 2024 presentation. I'm going to be doing a several long-hour presentation that will be basically a whole lecture on the astrology of 2024, big global trends that we're going to be seeing, some of my predictions, and we're also going to hang out together in a live viewing basically on YouTube. So we'll be ringing in the new year, people will be hanging out in the chat, and we are going to be interacting with each other as we talk about the astrology of next year. If you guys would like to join me, I'd love to have you there. We are selling tickets to the event on my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. Below in the description, you can find the link to my website, and we are charging $11.11 for this particular presentation. If you guys have seen some of my previous courses or even some of my webinars, you know that it's a pretty entertaining time. Lots of visuals and in-depth look at some of what's going on in the cosmos. I've done this several times now for the last 2 years, and this is one of the bigger ones that we're going to be doing because we're opening it up to people who want to be involved in the taping before it airs live. So I appreciate you guys' your donations and joining me there. I look forward to it. Those of you guys who are usually sleeping in, hungover, hanging out with family during New Year's Day, no worries. You don't have to be present for the live unless you want to interact in the chat, but you will get a link. So if you want to watch it in the playback afterwards, you can. You'll have access to this before it goes live on my channel. All right, so today, in honor of transit Mercury in a trine to Jupiter, I think we all could really use some good news, right? So I wanted to touch on, like I said, the biggest transits for each of the 12 signs. I'm going to give you guys some of my hot takes. Now, to make the most of this particular prediction, you can listen to your rising sign. This is going to tell you where in your life these transits are taking place. I really recommend listening to this because a lot of what I'm going to be doing is going to be based off of the 12 rising signs and their chart rulerships, or just some major trends going on that really impacts that particular rising sign. If you don't know that information, you can head over to astro.com. You can cast your chart for free. You just need to put in your time, date, and location, and you can cast your chart. Look at the 9 o'clock hour. That's going to give you your rising sign or your ascendant. You want to pay attention to that sign, and then you also want to listen for your sun sign. Now, the sun sign horoscopes can be equally as accurate. It's going to be more pertaining to your happiness, your career, or your overall sense of joy. You can also listen to your moon sign because the moon sign is going to be about your emotional kind of needs, and it's also going to touch on what might be impacting you during the eclipses. Personally, I would listen to all three. There's going to be some goodness in all of them. And let's go ahead and let's just jump right into it. So I'm a Western astrologer. I'm using the whole sign method for these particular transits. I will touch on sometimes the specific degree conjunctions. So if you follow Placidus, you might want to listen to where these particular conjunctions are taking place in your Placidus chart. You can listen to whole sign, you can listen to Placidus, you can listen to your progress chart, whatever you guys want. I just want to make this as simple as possible for everybody so you guys have a little bit of something to look forward to next year. So I'm going to start first with Aries and Aries rising. Reflecting on the Aries horoscope for 2024, probably the biggest thing that comes up for me is going to be the spring of next year. I think about how we're going to be seeing another eclipse taking place in Aries. You guys had the first eclipse in Aries in the spring of 2023 earlier this year. It was the first as we were embarking on this nodal shift. But on April the 8th, 2024, we're going to have a solar eclipse in Aries. So solar eclipses are about action. Aries is obviously either your sun, moon, or rising sign, but for the sake of the ascendant, let's just say it connects to your body. It's about your personal goals. It's about you. And the North Node is in Aries. So it's going to be really interesting to see the solar eclipse with an exalted sun, the moon there, and it's going to be in close proximity to the North Node. Now, something that I think about with this eclipse in terms of you, not generally, but in terms of you, is the close proximity of Chiron at the time of this particular eclipse. And so for Aries placements, this is going to represent kind of tapping in, tuning into the ability to heal yourself. We're going to see so many other things that are going to be bringing this up at that particular time. I think of, the Mercury retrograde at the time of the eclipse, and how, Mercury is going to be going over the eclipse point, touching on that 21 to 19 degrees, where we're receiving some information or some download or becoming aware of what we need to kind of heal or take care of. After all, Chiron does deal with wounds, and this can be emotional or physical. But what Chiron was known for was actually healing his own wounds, and through the experiences that he had, feeling separate from others, that really he was able to have some kind of unification within himself and heal some of the issues that made him feel like he was not good enough. So I love that you're going to have an eclipse conjunct Chiron almost to the minute. On the flip side, this can represent that there is some crisis in regards to the relationship with yourself. The eclipse will be at 19 degrees, so it is going to have some relationship aspect. But Aries and the North Node really talks about where we are going. So many Aries, sun, moon, and risings are really going to be put in a position of having to be more self-sufficient, having to be brave, being courageous, and being leaders for the collective. At the time of this particular eclipse, we're going to see the ruler, which is Mars, in conjunction to Saturn, which means you're fighting through maybe subconscious undoing. Maybe you're fighting something in regards to some kind of spiritual challenge or battle. Maybe you are really focusing on, your spiritual practice. Maybe you're fighting something in regards to feeling limitation. What will be important is a strong spiritual practice and also taking really good care of your physical body. Mars-Saturn contacts are pretty difficult because it can represent something revolving around some kind of limitation or separation. So you factor that into Pisces, which can be away from other people, a Chiron conjunction, which can be healing. Out in the world, this is going to manifest as a healing crisis for the masses. And you might be somebody who is really kind of leading in the forefront of being able to heal others or heal yourself. So it's important to be ready for this in April because this is going to be a really pivotal time. Like I said, right around the time period, we're going to see a Mercury retrograde. And so it's going to be bringing up the themes of this eclipse. Mercury does deal with lungs and breathing and communication or words. It also deals with health and habits. So I do feel like this is a time where maybe you might embark on some kind of healing process that requires you to start walking, to be journaling, to be writing, to be sharing some of your experiences and helping heal other people. But you do it through healing yourself. The other time period that really piques my interest is also going to be in mid-May to early June. Now, in mid-May to early June, we're going to see Mars come into the sign of Aries. So this is going to be amazing for you. Obviously, Mars rules your chart if you're an Aries rising. We've got Mars moving into its home sign, and it's going to give you a much needed kind of boost in energy and confidence and action. And so a lot of Aries and Aries risings are going to be really self-focused. So it's wonderful for new habits. It's wonderful for new action, especially revolving around health or fitness, maybe even self-defense. But many of you guys are going to be focused on changing and transforming the relationship that you have with yourself. So to see Mars come into your home ruling sign, it's going to give you an extra boost of energy. It's going to give you more confidence. It's going to have you, be willing to kind of take chances and make the necessary changes. And Mars will come into contact with the North Node in Aries. So it's all about you, basically, Aries risings. It's all about you, what you're needing to accomplish, what you're needing to get done. It's like all hands on deck in terms of really initiating new things. So awesome to see this kind of really blossom from the eclipses around the astrological new year, and then kind of reverberate out until we get to the latter part of the year. Eventually, we will also see at the tail end of 2024 a Mars retrograde. Now, this is going to be taking place, I believe, in December, if I remember correctly, and this will bleed into the beginning of 2025. Obviously, when Mars turns retrograde, it can be challenging if it rules your sign, and it's going to start in Leo, so it's going to be about reevaluating the actions that you're taking pertaining to creativity, self-expression, children, dating, self-employment. And it's going to be a really interesting transit because it is going to first come into an opposition with Pluto in Aquarius. And then in its retrograde, Pluto will drop back down into Capricorn. So it'll actually, I think it's going to oppose Capricorn first, Pluto in Capricorn, and then it'll oppose Pluto in Aquarius. So it's almost like the changes that you're experiencing on a heart level, on a creative level, has a huge impact on your home, your family, your past, your roots. And Mars is obviously, your chart ruler. So wherever Mars goes is where you go. While Mars is in Leo, it's a little bit more friendly, but when it's in Cancer, it can mean that you're having to make some really difficult emotional kind of changes. Maybe there is a sense of going back and reworking something about your family or your home life. It really depends on some of your own personal placements, but because Mars is your chart ruler, I think it's important to just kind of keep in mind that there could be some changes on the home front at the end of 2024. Equally, it might mean that you're changing or transforming something about your home. So like renovations or maybe demoing something or returning back to your home base or moving in with family, tending to family, something like that is likely going to come about throughout that transit. So definitely keep your eyes peeled. I know Jupiter is going to be moving into your third house, so it's very likely that some of you guys are considering moving. Obviously, that's just the sampler edition, but I think it gives you enough to kind of think about what might be manifesting for you guys next year in 2024. I hope that is helpful for you, Aries. All right, so we have got Taurus and Taurus rising. So for you, Taurus, there's some really big energies that are going to be taking place in 2024. One of the ones that really kind of piques my interest the most, I think, is probably going to be when Pluto enters back into the sign of Aquarius come the beginning of 2024. Pluto moving into an angular house is going to make life seem a little bit more loud, okay? So the angular houses, the 1st, 4th, 7th, and 10th, are definitely when we see, like the volume of life turn up a little bit. This creates squares, which prompts you to create some kind of change. Now, Pluto represents your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. Maybe it represents your public status. Maybe it represents your relationships. Regardless, Pluto entering into the 10th house is basically saying, it's promising there is some big change or transformation to your status out in the world. It really depends on where you stand in this. I know that you're having eclipses that are in your 6th and your 12th houses. So it is very likely that a lot of you guys are making changes in regards to your habits and your daily routine, which may impact where or how you're working. Now, Pluto promises really significant change, and Aquarius can be about the future. So you're changing the future of your career, right? Transforming it in some way. Maybe it's through some kind of powerful alignment or union. You might find that you take on a really significant relationship that helps boost the professional kind of image for you. You're starting what's going to be a decade plus long transit of just some big shifts in regards to your career and professional life. Sometimes Pluto kind of just kicks the door in and he brings an ending, and it seems really dramatic, but it could manifest as something that needed to happen to bring about a new beginning. So I think about also how, Aquarius represents like the masses or a team in some capacity. I think about Saturn in your 11th house of groups and others, and I wonder if this is about you building a team that might kind of, initiate some kind of change in your career, especially if you're involved in Aquarian matters like politics, or maybe you're involved in astrology, maybe you're involved in technology. Any of these things can really bring about some opportunities to maybe, just focus more on like the future and like what people you're potentially working with who's helping kind of build this. So it doesn't just become, oh, who am I? Look what I've created. It's look at the team I've put together, right? Look at the business that I've built. Look at the clients that I've brought in. Look at the business partners that I have. And letting your reputation kind of speak for itself, that you are like this powerful creator for being able to totally change and transform something about what you're doing for a living. So really, really interesting energy for you. We will see Pluto hang out for about 9 months in 2024 in the sign of Aquarius, a brief retrograde back into Capricorn, and then it's going to go back in 2025 for good, and it's going to stay there for some time. So more or less next year, a mass majority of 2024, you're going to see a significant shift in regard to the future of your career. And Pluto will get up to about 1-2 degrees before it retrogrades back. So if you happen to be a early Taurus rising, from late Aries to about, let's say, 3 or 4 degrees of Taurus, you're going to be feeling the Pluto square, which might feel a little bit more dire. It might feel like do or die, that you have to change something or something has to end for something else to emerge. But I think about February of 2024, and I think about how we're going to see this massive stellium that's going to be in Aquarius in your 10th house of career. The Sun and Mercury and Venus and Mars and Pluto are all going to be at the top part of the chart, and that is your time to shine. So really put your game face on, get ready to really show people what you've got. I think it could be a new era in regards to your future status, and I think it can be really amazing for either building a team or unifying together with other people. Out in the world in general, when we see these Capricorn stelliums, we see the power of Capricorn, or I guess I should say Aquarius stelliums, the power of like revolutionary things, or the power of groups, or the masses. So you may find that, some power group is kind of coming together or being built that might be really, really significant in the long run. Throughout that transit, we will see Mars and Venus conjoin. And I think that that's going to be really interesting to see your chart ruler and also Mars kind of meeting in the 10th house. And it might mean that you're able to make this happen through some kind of collaboration that you have with another person. So whether it's your spouse, or it ends up being like a really powerful person who you connect with, or a collaborator of some kind, it looks like it's going to be like a match made in heaven. Now, in mid-April, we are also going to see around the 20th, and you're going to feel this until, all throughout May, Jupiter and Uranus will be aligning. I'm going to do a completely separate video for that, because I feel like for everybody, it's a really big deal. But for you, because it's happening in your own sign, this is very significant. So we've got Jupiter being the planet of wealth and abundance and travel and growth. It brings good things. It brings riches. It also brings lots of knowledge, right? In a sagely manner. So it's about being able to bestow this and teach this to other people. And then you've got Uranus, which is the planet of unconventional things. It's about change. It's about rebelling, going against the system. It's about doing what's unconventional, right? So we see almost like this Mad Hatter combination of Jupiter and Uranus together that's very futuristic and knowledgeable, and it's coming together in your sign. What this tells me is that you're about to undergo some really significant transformation. And I don't know if this is about finally flying your freak flag and wearing the mohawk, or getting the nose piercing, or having the dreadlocks, or getting the tattoo. I don't know if this is about potentially some surgical transformation where you become like, you know, the bionic woman or man. I don't know if this is about plastic surgery, because it could be, because Taurus is about beauty, and you know, Jupiter rules your 8th house. I think about how the abundance is going to be the abundance of having like-minded friends, being able to collaborate and work with a team, being able to be free and be unapologetically yourself and extremely authentic. And Uranus obviously deals with your 10th house. So it's like some Taurus and Taurus risings might have a real breakthrough with just suddenly there's fame and some real significant shift, and you're like making your spot in the world. What it also can mean is that there is a lot going on with your thyroid or your nervous system. It might mean that you're kind of feeling like you're just, you know, like walking on eggshells, or you're always a bit wound up. So there's a need to also really take time to integrate some of these energies, calm down, be in nature, ground your energy, and not allow yourself to become too Uranian, right? So many Uranian energies next year with Pluto in Aquarius and Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Like the frequencies are going to just get cranked. So it's about allowing yourself to take time, I think, when it comes to, you know, making some of these like dramatic changes. Thankfully, we're going to have some sextiles from Saturn that's going to help. So it's going to kind of taper some of the sudden changes that are happening. But that's going to come from being grounded in your goals and also with some kind of community. I will say that sometimes this can also manifest as having, you know, sudden changes physically with your body. So yeah, that's why I'm touching so much on all the different ways that it could manifest. So it really depends. Jupiter wants travel and Uranus wants sudden. And so there can be a sense of you having these strong impulses to be like, I need to go somewhere. I need to do this. I need to do that. And so managing that can be a little challenging when you're having these energies in your 10th house that really wants you to really focus on, you know, keeping your eyes on the prize at work. Then at the end of May, I see some really big personal shifts for you. And I think that's really important. I've had my eye on the tail end of Taurus season. You know, right when your birthday season is wrapping up, we're going to see Jupiter and Venus meet at 29 degrees of Taurus. So it might mean that, you know, the sweetest thing is yet to come. It might be about just total dramatic changes to your appearance and appearing extra Venusian and attractive and beautiful, granted at a cost, right? 29 degrees can be the excess. And so you could be almost like just like oozing this goddessy energy. But Taurus is about what's natural beauty, and it's this fusion with Uranus of what's unconventional. So some of you guys may find yourselves going in the complete opposite direction, where it's like, actually, no, I don't want to wear makeup. I don't want to do my hair. I want to be natural. I want to embrace this. I'm rejecting traditional ways of looking at beauty. So everybody's going to react differently. But definitely, if there is as much potential pressure in your career and reputation as it looks, there's this huge focus on health and the body and what you look like, right? And eclipses in your 6th house can definitely be bringing some sense of letting go, a tendency to, you know, be doing it for superficial reasons. North Node in Aries is saying you're doing it because it's about kind of getting your mindset on track. Anyway. You won't have a Venus retrograde this year, so yay for that. Aside from Venus's, you know, exaltation, she'll go through Pisces earlier in the year. She'll come into Taurus, and then you're going to see her obviously, you know, go into Libra later in the year, but it'll come into contact with the South Node. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Taurus. Let me know. I think you've got a lot to look forward to. We've got Gemini and Gemini rising. So for you guys for 2024, for me, I think the big transit for you is Jupiter going into Gemini. So Jupiter going into your sign definitely does bring a sense of more faith, more optimism, abundance, expansion, growth, travel, all of these things. It's kind of contradicting also because, you know, Jupiter has connections to your relationship sector. So it might mean that you're attracting more relationships, into your life. It might mean that you're going into a period of entering into a significant relationship. For some of you guys, it can be about marriage, travel, or pregnancy. It just really kind of depends on the configuration. Jupiter is technically in its fall when it's in Gemini, so it's in the opposite sign of where it's at home in Sagittarius. But still, nevertheless, for you, I think it can be positive. The key here to think about, with this transit is when Jupiter is on your ascendant, it's bringing a lot more visibility to you because Jupiter rules your career zone. So with it on your ascendant, there's a lot more of people seeing what you're doing, bosses taking note of what you're doing. Gemini is obviously about communicating, relaying information, talking, taking notes, learning. And so there can be a sense of just like an excess of multitasking. I think that's going to be the theme next year. We're going to see a lot of people that are just going to be trying to juggle way more than they can. But Jupiter on your ascendant brings this sense of more faith, more optimism, definitely thinking that bigger is better. And I would say with this transit, you want to just pay attention to also the relationship with yourself. Because Jupiter rules relationships, it's going to be in your first house. This is a time to be actively engaging in self-reflection and being like, why am I saying what I'm saying? Do I believe in what I'm talking about? Am I trying to be, the best person I can be? So that way I can also, be the best in relationships to others. Jupiter wants to get bigger too. So Jupiter transits on the ascendant can definitely materialize as gaining weight. Not for everybody. Sometimes Jupiter can represent a growth spurt in a younger person's chart. Sometimes it can represent pregnancy in a woman's chart. But I think that with Jupiter in your first house, it's definitely about kind of having this broader perspective of what is possible for this next year. You will have Jupiter in your sign in basically from more or less the end of May of 2024 into 2025. So you'll have it all year. And, like I was saying to Taurus, at the end of May, you're going to see Jupiter and Venus come into conjunction in Taurus, and then Jupiter, the Sun, and Venus enter into Gemini. So also at the end of May, beginning of June, there is this sense of like a real glow up for you and feeling very creative and feeling very abundant. And we're going to see a Venus Cazimi that's going to take place actually in Gemini. And so for some of you guys, it could materialize as I'm in love, or I identify now as an artist, or look what I've created, or oh, I'm pregnant. So something like that might be happening. Doesn't surprise me with the eclipses that you're also going to be having in your fifth house. Maybe tapping into that inner artist. And I think the eclipses in the 11th is sharing what you're creating with other people, joining with other people, experiencing network opportunities, making new friends. Now, something you're going to see in mid-August of 2024 is you're going to experience Jupiter and Mars coming into conjunction in your first house. And so that is a louder than life energy. That tells me that you're almost like kicking the door in, being like, this is what I'm going after. This is my goal. Boom. Remember, Mars rules the North Node. So, if you can't beat them, join them. That's kind of how I feel when it comes to some of your hobbies or your creative projects. If you're not making it on your own, join forces with other people, join a group, start a network. That's the other thing, because Mars is entrepreneurial. I could see some of you guys looking for groups or businesses or associations and not finding what you're looking for. And this Mars Jupiter conjunction in August could materialize as you being like, you know what? I'm going to start it myself. I'm going to put it together myself. So it can be very entrepreneurial. It can also be about this emergence of more growth, more muscles, more opportunity, I think, to debate and engage and share with other people, because Jupiter is like a kind of a philosophical sign planet. And you'll see at some point in 2024 that Saturn's going to start to kind of catch up with Jupiter, and it's going to start to kind of tether Jupiter kind of running away from itself. So Saturn will be in your career sector, and it'll be squaring Jupiter's growth in your first house. So it's almost like it's great to go out and socialize and travel and have fun, but work is going to keep you kind of chained to a desk in some way, or it might kind of limit your ability to go too far or to do too much. and keep you focused in what you're doing with the continuation of the growth in your career. Obviously, you're going to want to watch the Mercury retrogrades that you're going to have next year. We're going to see one that's going to take place in April, and that's going to be in Aries. We're going to see another one, I believe, that's going to start in Virgo, and it's going to go back into Leo. And then towards the end of the year, I believe we're going to see one that's going to be in Sagittarius, if I remember correctly. So pay attention to those particular retrogrades. That's when you're going to see some of the most action that's kind of going down. And I'm really excited to see how that Mars-Jupiter conjunction materializes for you. It's going to be at 16 degrees, okay? And that's like I said, mid-August. So Sun, Moon, Rising, Gemini placements right around those degrees. Watch for that because there might be some goal that you become aware of, or maybe you're in the gym, you're pumping iron, maybe you're focusing on, your skills, you're, learning with other people. There's going to be something like that that's going to be going on that's going to give you some sense of being able to feel like you belong to a group or a cause. Good luck. We've got Cancer and Cancer rising. What's going on, Cancer? So, for me, I think about you and Capricorn kind of being like between a rock and a hard place this year, watching eclipses take place in Aries and also in Libra. So one thing that I want you to think about, obviously being ruled by the moon, you're going to want to take a look at the moon in your own chart, kind of see what's going on with those transits. Follow the lunar transits, particularly you want to watch the solar and the lunar eclipses. Those will really impact you in general because you're ruled by the moon. But when I look at the North Node in Aries eclipses, which will be taking place, obviously, spring of 2024, and you're also going to see in the fall of 2024, this is going to be about going in the direction of some kind of growth, right? North Node with your professional life. Now, when you have signs or planets that are moving 10 houses to your ascendant, it has this natural Saturn energy, which is like demanding. It's a lot of hard work. You got to climb the mountain. So I think some of you guys may benefit from reflecting on the eclipse that we had in April. Really ask yourself what happened around that eclipse, what challenges were coming up, what were you initiating? Were you suddenly changing jobs? Were you quitting jobs? Were you trying to launch a business? There's some similarities to the second solar eclipse that's going to be in your 10th house in the spring. But it's rocking your career, and you're going to watch this in April as the eclipse happens and then the retrograde happens. And I really feel like it's about getting out of your own way and being like, how can I be, the steward of my own ship? How can I find ways to be able to best initiate these new cycles within my career? How can I take my power back? How can I be more independent? Entrepreneurial comes up a lot with Aries, but especially with the North Node in the 10th house here. Now, on the flip side, South Node eclipses are going to come through Libra. You're going to see that in the spring and also in the fall. So this is going to be really about making shifts in regards to clearing out the past, clearing out past issues with family, maybe moves, maybe relocations can come up. You're going to see that, I think with these eclipses, it's really saying it's time to let the past go, right? We got to let the past go. We got to focus on the future. We can't get stuck in the past. So for some of you guys, it might mean cleaning out closets, going through old photo albums. It might mean, connecting or clearing out with old relationship pasts, Libra. And if you look at the eclipses, right, you want to look at the degrees that they're taking place in. And if those eclipses are squaring your sun, moon, or rising in Cancer, it's going to feel a little bit more extra action-oriented. Now, I think about Pluto, which is going to finally be leaving Capricorn for a few months. So you're going to get a bit of a reprieve in the relationship department. So, several long years, more than several, this has been going on since 2008, of Pluto in your 7th house of relationships, where you've probably earned a few war medals in regards to your love life. Now Pluto leaves, it goes into the 8th house where it does a lot better, to be honest with you, where it's radically changing and transforming something about your joint finances, maybe tax matters, maybe it can be about, going through some major pivotal transformation. Now, if you're an early degree Cancer rising, this is going to be Pluto in conjunct or Queen Conks, your ascendant. And so maybe it's about triggering things revolving around finances and security, changes of your home, maybe some kind of working through some childhood matters, because Pluto rules your 5th house. I think about how, it may finally give you a break in relationships. And I think about how, we're going to see an eclipse that's going to be in Pisces in the fall that will be pretty close to Saturn and in a trine by sign to your ascendant. So long distance relationships, ceremonies, big accomplishments in relationships, education, or travel is likely to come from that. And Saturn and Neptune are going to be in sister signs, and they are flowing in harmony with your ascendant, supporting basically getting more in touch with your emotions and also your past. And then finally, at the end of the year of 2024, we are going to see a Mars retrograde. Mars will be starting in Leo in your 2nd house of money, personal possessions, and income, and it will retrograde into your 1st house of self. Now, Mars in the 1st house is strong because it's about taking action, and it's like what we do on an instinctual level. But Mars in your sign is particularly moody, and we're going to see Mars kind of do this awkward dance between Pluto. The end of 2024, you want to watch your finances. You want to be making sure that you're not overspending, that you're sticking to a budget, because a Mars retrograde can give you less power or stamina when it comes to your finances. Equally, Mars rules your 10th house of career. So it might mean that there is like a slowing down that's happening. Maybe you're segueing, maybe you're switching careers, maybe you're saying, you know what, I need to be taking time off of work to go in another direction. In order to do that, it means I'm not making as much residual income. And Saturn in the 9th house makes me feel like some of you guys might be actually going back to school. And you might see that because Jupiter is going to go into your 12th house as well. So some people might say, you know what, I'm not liking the direction I'm going work-wise. Let me see if I can go back to school. Let me take a program. Even if that means, having some cuts in being able to work and bring in some consistent money. And when Mars is retrograde in your 1st house, cutting or surgical procedures or things like that, at the end of 2024, you really want to be careful because it's not ideal to have Mars retrograde in your 1st house in its fall doing these things. You could be more prone also to having challenges when it comes to expressing your emotions. Pregnancy matters can also be a challenge here. So it depends on your personal chart. But, if you know that you want to get an elective surgical procedure done, or that you want to launch a new business, these are not things I would recommend doing during the Mars retrograde at the end of the year, because those energies are going to be kind of working against you. Okay, so consult with an astrologer, find the best dates to be able to do that stuff. And I'm really excited to see some of this career growth for you in this next year, Cancer. Good luck. We've got Leo and Leo rising. So big energy for you, Leo. Obviously, Pluto's going back into Aquarius. So buckle up, put your helmet on, get ready for all of these big changes in regards to your relationships. Obviously, Pluto is kind of the furthest planet from the sun in our solar system. So think of Pluto as like the final stop, okay? Yes, he could be seen as the crypt keeper. It can materialize as like, the grim reaper coming for the relationship that hasn't been working and it's kind of being cut off. Sure, of course. But I also see this as a really powerful turning point in regards to, Pluto ruling your 4th house. What has been hidden or secretive or kind of private now becoming public, right? So now you've got your 4th house Lord entering into your 7th. If you happen to be a Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising in the early degrees, the first couple degrees, Pluto is opposing you, which you might feel like there is this powerful pressure from other people outside of you that's forcing you to, confront it or to deal with it and to better navigate change. I guess for me, the big thing that I think about is at some point, Jupiter will go into Gemini and it's going to start trining your 7th house. So positive, optimistic, like-minded friends who support these changes in relationships are exactly what you need. And whether that's friends who support you going through a divorce that are like, we've got you, don't worry about it, we're here for you. Or if it's getting friends who are going to better resonate with a relationship that you're committed to being in and kind of dropping the people who don't approve. Once again, it depends on your chart. But who you have around in general, whether it's friends or relationships or allies, very important because it has a very powerful effect on you. The other thing that I think about, in this next year is about huge shifts in the spring, April, May, June in your professional life. Obviously, we're going to see Jupiter and Uranus meet with each other in your 10th house of career, where there is going to be huge shifts in status. It's been really cool to see some of my clients go through this, watching these planets kind of dance in the 10th house. I've seen a lot of people suddenly decide to become entrepreneurs. I've seen a lot of people suddenly get their dream job. I have seen some amazing growth in regards to artistic careers, right? Taurus, beauty, finance. And some of you guys are really going to kind of hit the jackpot when it comes to your professional life because, Jupiter and Uranus can materialize as like fame and fortune in regards to what you're doing. Jupiter has connections to your 5th house of creativity, children, self-employment, and lovers. Creativity as well. And Uranus is about partnerships. So professionally, it could mean that you're like, look what I've made, and you put it out there, and it's weird, and it's futuristic, and unreal, but it's extremely lucrative, and it just picks up, and it takes off like wildfire. I've seen some people who suddenly, realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a mom or I'm going to be a dad, and it launches you into this very sudden, unexpected, out of the blue, needing to think about your future career and how that impacts your partner or your family. And so your identity becomes changed in a way where you're like, well, now I'm a parent, or now I'm married, right? Or now I'm divorced. So status changes will happen because you have Pluto going into the 7th house and Jupiter, Uranus in your 10th house. I've seen this a lot for obviously for Taurus and for Leo. All of the fixed signs are going to have these really loud changes. Scorpio and Aquarius might be a little bit more private, but for you, Leo, it's like full front and center. I mean, it's now is go time to have some big changes in regards to your status. And some of you will fall in love, some will become parents, some will have just some amazing opportunity to be able to show the world what you've created, and it can be extremely, extremely successful. At the end of the year, you're going to see that there will be a Mars retrograde in your sign, and it's going to start first in Leo, and then it's going to move into your 12th house, which will be Cancer. This is a time where I feel like some of you guys may be returning back to school, traveling and visiting foreign lands. You might be considering relocating because Mars rules your home and also your 12th house. If not, pay extra close attention to your health, please. This is very important because a Mars retrograde over the ascendant can definitely bring changes to your physical body. When I think of Mars and the ascendant, I think of what we're cutting off or cutting back or what we're removing. So some of you guys are going to feel like you want to cut your beautiful mane. I would say do not do this. It's going to be December into the new year. Some of you guys are going to be more accident prone or more prone to getting cuts or having accidents, burns, or abrasions. I would say it's a really tricky transit because it's going to start on your ascendant and it's going to oppose Pluto, that's going to be in and out of your health house and then your relationship house. So if it's not health related or education or travel related, it might be about you going back and forth, being like, do I need to calm down, take it easy when it comes to kind of staying level headed, and not kind of engage in power struggles with, friendships, Aquarius, or relationships to other people. It'll be interesting to see how this emerges. If Pluto emerging in your 7th house is going to be about suddenly, moving in with somebody and buying a house or relocating together or getting married, or if it's going to be about hashing out some kind of drama and realizing that somebody in your family is creating some kind of strife and they're an open enemy, or maybe they're kind of, having some issues with you in your relationship. So family members can definitely pose a threat to some of your romantic relationships. And so through the retrograde, it might give you an opportunity to reassess and really kind of pick your battles. Okay, so be mindful of that. Just like Cancer, be careful with cutting, separating things. I wouldn't be doing surgical procedures or things of that nature during that particular transit. Good luck. So we've got Virgo and Virgo rising. Well, Virgo, it's gonna be a year for you. Couple things that I think about obviously are the fact that you also are going to have lots of action going on in your angular houses this year. We're going to continue to see Saturn and Neptune moving through your 7th house of relationships, where you're sorting and sifting through relationships and trying to figure out, what do I hold on to? What's worth committing to? What do I actually love versus what's an illusion and what is not good for me or what is deceptive? And like the truth is you got to look at your personal Virgo placements and see, are you experiencing a Saturn opposition? That could represent a separation or taking some space. Are you experiencing a Neptune opposition where maybe you're feeling a little lost and confused? But Saturn continuing to go through this part of the chart means that you're working through karma and relationships. And it can mean that it's about a relationship with a younger person because of Saturn's connection to your 5th, working through inner child issues and blockages in relationships, dating a younger person, or maybe it's going to be about you finding ways to be able to kind of share what you create with other people. And it's more about the relationship that you have with like a business or offering services or a product. As that continues to go, side by side, we're going to see eventually in about a year and a half, Saturn and Neptune will come into conjunction, both in Aries and also in Pisces. So there's still more unfolding in regards to relationships. I definitely feel like besides that particular transit with karmic relationship lessons, something else I would be paying attention to is going to be mid-September of 2024. In mid-September, we're going to see a lunar eclipse in Pisces. That particular eclipse is the first eclipse in what will be another nodal series of eclipses that are changing. I want you to know that the North and the South node are going to stay in Aries and Libra until the beginning of 2025. So this is a hybrid eclipse. It's going to be an out of sign eclipse where the North node is still in Aries, where you're focusing on change and transformation of some kind, maybe working through crisis, learning to let go, embracing endings. And then you're going to have an eclipse in your 7th house of marriage, which will be in between Neptune and Saturn. Now, at the time of this particular eclipse, Jupiter is going to be in Gemini, and Jupiter is the traditional ruler of Pisces. So it can mean that there is some big change that is being brought on through relationships that's impacting your career and status. Sometimes eclipses in the 7th house can represent getting married, getting engaged, getting divorced, meeting the one. And all I know is that like next year with Saturn and Neptune in your 6th, 7th house, and then Jupiter making its way into your career house where it's expanding your work stuff, the work expansion or the status expansion is somehow putting the pressure on your 7th house. So it might mean like you have more clients, you're having to work with a partnership of some kind professionally, maybe through some kind of growth of your career, it allows you to meet someone. And like I've said in previous signs, we're going to see Saturn, which is kind of keeping Jupiter tethered. So actually like this year and next year, it's a time that you really want to have a partner of some kind. Even if you're like, I don't want to date, having a working partnership, it can mean that you have a mentor, maybe you work with a therapist, maybe you have an astrologer, somebody who can kind of help you stay on track with what's going to make you happy and feel grounded. And so obviously, we love an eclipse in the 7th house, but the square to Jupiter, it makes me feel like you've got somebody who's kind of trying to keep you sane and keep you grounded so you're not like totally wigging out over all the potential options or changes that can be happening in your career. Granted, this can also represent through commitment in a relationship, a new identity is emerging, and some of you guys might be talking about settling down. Then you're going to see when Jupiter goes into Gemini, and this is going to be mid-year, closer to end of May, beginning of June. You've got, your 4th house lord and your 7th house lord going into the 10th house. So this might mean that you get offered a second job. You're working 2 jobs, you're going back and forth. It might mean that because you've had some status change, it also means there's going to be a change with your home and your living situation. So I think about, Jupiter being the focal point of a square between your sign and also Saturn. And it's like career expansion, lead the way. So many opportunities, so many choices. Maybe you're doing more than one thing. You need to find the balance between work and your relationships, and work and also the relationship to yourself. And so, you know, even though the eclipses won't start in Virgo until 2025, partners are probably going to be giving you some feedback about like where they need more or what needs to change, or maybe you're realizing that you actually could benefit from having a partner to help you find the balance. Hope that's helpful for you, Virgo. Good luck in 2024. All right, so we've got Libra and Libra rising. What's going on, Libras? Obviously, you know, I'm going to talk to you guys about the eclipses. So we're going to see eclipses that are going to obviously continue happening in Libra and Aries. March 25th, 2024, you will be experiencing a lunar eclipse full moon in the sign of Libra. So it's going to be in your first house if you're a Libra rising. This will be at 5 degrees. So Libra, sun, moon, rising around 3, 4, 5, 6 degrees. Pay attention. This is going to impact you a little bit more. A lunar eclipse on your ascendant can mean a big change or a completion to your body. It can mean that there is more of a focused effort on what's going on with you and your needs. At the time of this eclipse, you're going to see that Venus is the ruler, and Venus is going to be in conjunction to, I believe, Saturn in your 6th house. So it does mean that your health is being impacted by your habits and your daily routine. On one hand, we're going to have an exalted Venus, so that's nice. On the other hand, the conjunction to Saturn means that you're only as healthy as the time and the energy that you're putting into your habits. Saturn rules home, and I think this is going to be about getting your home, your office, your schedule in order, so you're prioritizing health and habits. I also feel like this for you can be, for some of you guys, pregnancy. Eclipses on the ascendant can do that. I think about Jupiter and Uranus coming into conjunction in your 8th house, really lighting up this theme of, you know, Aquarius, and a lot of Libra and Libra risings will be conceiving in 2024. You will see in the spring and also in the fall, there's going to be eclipses happening in Aries. So North Node in 7th house, Chiron in the 7th house, eclipses in the 7th house, really driving home the fact that there's something that is going on in a relationship where relationships are meant to be empowering. They're meant to be supporting you or encouraging you. Those of you guys who are single might meet people. Those of you guys who are in relationships might see the importance of partnering with other people. Watch out for the Chiron transits, because it can materialize as needing to heal an issue in a relationship. And you'll see that through the eclipse and also through the retrograde. I like that there's going to be exalted Venus in Pisces in March. I would say for Libra and Libra risings, this can bring new work environments. This can bring new health habits. This can bring new healthcare practitioners, better health for you and also for pets, and kind of just getting your affairs in order, to be honest with you. And then finally, at the end of May, you're going to see Jupiter come into conjunction with Venus in Taurus in your 8th house. Oh my goddess, Libra. So basically, the 8th house is other people's money. It could represent through death, through inheritance, through tax-related matters, through winnings of some kind, that there is like some big payout that's coming. So it depends. Some of you guys know that there's an inheritance coming. Some of you guys are going to be playing the lottery, which I think you should be during this time, because Uranus rules the 5th house. What else? Yeah, it's just when Venus conjuncts Uranus, there's going to be some shock and sudden opportunity for wealth that's going to arise for you. That's going to come out of the blue. And it will come through somebody else's resource. So this will be either an inheritance, or if you're in a partnered relationship, or if you've invested money, something is totally going to take off. I think about how this is connected to Pluto entering in your 5th house. And so it can mean that if you do make an investment and it pays off, then there's more taxes. Like an insane tax bill can come. It can also mean that there's a lot of wealth that's coming from cryptocurrencies, or people who are very generous, friends, and a lot of money that you might have access to through the 3rd house, which is an online business. It can be through a channel. If you have a YouTube channel, something like that can be happening. But there's some kind of wealth that's going to come your way, and it's going to be like the chef's kiss of all of the transits all year. Good luck, Libra. All right, so we've got Scorpio and Scorpio rising. What's going on, Scorpio? You know I'm going to talk to you all about Pluto. So Pluto briefly went into Aquarius for you in 2023. It was there only for about 2 or 3 months. Likely you saw that there was some potential crisis or major change or transformation that started kind of showing itself in regards to your home or living situation. Think back to what was going on in the spring of 2023 to get more info. Pluto rules your chart, so it might have meant that you just realized, you know what, I want to move, or I don't like where I'm living, or there was some kind of dramatic situation, maybe with a parent that came up. It really depends on your personal astrology, but Pluto moving into an angular house for all of the fixed signs is really significant because it's really saying, okay, now it's time to really get the show on the road with this change. So what are you changing, Scorpio? What are you changing around your home, your family, or your roots or your ancestry? Sometimes this transit can be marked with the death of a significant relative or a family figure. It is possible, not always, but it can. I also think about how this can represent the death and the rebirth, or the demo and the rebuilding of something. So it might mean something about your emotions. It depends. Like I said, about 9 months out of the year next year, we're going to see Pluto in the 4th house. Briefly, it will go back into Capricorn, where you have the opportunity to make a change about how you communicate, what you think, what you have to say. And then finally in 2025, it's going to go back into your 4th house to stay. I think about, moving, renovating, transforming your home. I think about changing the way that you communicate with some of your relatives. It's just, there's so much there, and it really depends on you personally. But I will say the dispositor of Pluto, okay, is Uranus. So when we look at Pluto going into the 4th house and the profound changes that are coming, well, they're coming through a relationship. It's coming through a partner. And it could be if you're, a Scorpio or a Scorpio rising and you live with a Scorpio. It could be that. It could be a family member that's in Aquarius. It depends. But Uranus rules Pluto. It's a dispositor. And Jupiter and Uranus are coming together. So it tells me that the huge shift that's happening on the home front is coming from a relationship. So you might meet somebody and you might move in with them, right? You might be in a relationship and decide to get married. You guys might have a huge significant shift in regards to the relationship, and that brings, for better or for worse, some big change to your home life. In May, we're going to see Mars come into contact with the North Node. And this is really important because your other ruler is Mars, okay? So when Mars goes into Aries, it is action-packed, it initiates things, it wants new stuff. In the 6th house, it wants to start working out, it wants to focus on health, it wants to have a routine, and it wants to be independent. And the truth is that Aries rubs Scorpio the wrong way. So whatever's going on here, it's like the things that you know that you should do, but they're annoying and you don't want to do them. And so get up, make your bed, right? Pick up your room, do the dishes, go to the gym, show up to work, get into a routine, get into a habit. That's going to help you. Especially when I think about eclipses in your 6th house, where there can be some health issues that can arise. Aries in the 6th house is inflammation, sinus issues, headaches, migraines, fevers, and how you're making some of the changes to your habits and you're healing it with the Chiron eclipse, right, in Aries, and finding ways to kind of better, remedy some of these issues, or work through problems you're having at work with coworkers, or working through, bad habits that need to change. Pay attention in the spring because there can be some health stuff that can come up. And personally, I feel like this is about some changes that you need to make that's going to be for the better because it's actually going to make you happy. So with that eclipse in Aries, Mars and Saturn are in conjunction in the 5th house. So you're committing to making changes to your schedule for what? So you have more time to date, so you can spend more time with your kids, so you can have kids. Maybe you're committing to, hobbies and things that make you feel happy. Whatever it is, there's something kind of positive brewing there. But I think some of you guys might start new jobs, or some of you guys might really focus on new habits and are definitely needing to take care of your health. Now, at the end of the year, okay, so this is going to be in December, it's going to bleed into 2025, we're going to see Mars go retrograde in Leo, and it's going to go from Leo back into Cancer. So this is important because Mars rules your chart. So like when you see Mars go retrograde, okay, making changes at work, maybe cutting things back, taking time off, taking a step back. You may also see similar shifts happening when Pluto retrogrades back into your third house. You're learning something new, making a change with a vehicle, maybe you're moving. But keeping it on Leo, this is really important because it's very visible. So a lot of Scorpio risings at the end of 2024 are going to say, I want to work less. I'm taking a brief break. I'm done working this job. I want to start something new. I'm done working. I want to go back to school, because Mars will go into into the ninth house. What's going to happen here is some of you guys might, travel or take an extended vacation, return back to a place that you've been before. But Mars is going to make some really tricky oppositions to Pluto in the home base and also in the third house. So mind any business changes, mind also issues revolving around law and legality, especially like property related matters with family. I could see for some Scorpio and Scorpio risings, like a little bit of like a tiff maybe with a sibling, or maybe something going on with like an in-law that's requiring you to kind of like be on your feet and, be needing to make changes with your family, with where you're living because of something going on with an in-law. Okay. Pluto returns to Capricorn in the fall, so you'll see that briefly, and then in 2025, it's moving into your fourth house. Good luck, Scorpio. We've got Sag and Sag rising. Well, what do I have for you, Sagittarius? Obviously, you and Taurus are the two signs that I really thought of when I thought of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. I think that with your chart ruler coming into contact with Uranus in the spring and April is a really big energy. It means that you are really focusing on, health habits, routine, and also finding time for pleasure, right, Taurus? It might mean that there's new unconventional ways of, eating, working out, or working. Some of you guys are focusing on being able to acquire new skills so you can have new potential jobs in the future. But this conjunction is going to be fusing your third house of communication with you, Jupiter, in your sixth. So it's like maybe you have a second job. Maybe you're having an online business. Maybe you're writing, or maybe you're teaching something, or maybe it can be health, fitness, or lifestyle related. That's one way to look at it. But that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction will be at 21 degrees, which is also a Sagittarius degree. So I feel like for a lot of Sagittarius, it's like work, work, and more work, right? The sixth house was the house of labor and service. And it might mean for the collective, it might mean to your community, it might mean to a sibling or to a pet, it depends. But that conjunction is going to be rather significant for you, and I think it's just about focusing on your habits. And when that conjunction arrives, we are going to see, Venus that is going to be in it looks like it's going to be in Aries. So it's a service to what? Well, to a child, maybe. Maybe it's going to be to your own business. Maybe it's to a hobby. Maybe it's to your own happiness. Maybe you're like, I need to scale back just, to have more time for me. Obviously, eclipses and stuff in the fifth house, resonating with your ascendant. Yes, that could be pregnancy, but could be falling in love. It could be taking up a new hobby or practice. And I think really it's about making time for the things that you enjoy to do more than anything else, and not getting lost in this never-ending kind of list of things that you have to get done. Now, Jupiter will eventually leave Taurus. You'll see this in, I think, right around June. Jupiter will go into Gemini in your seventh house. So then you're suddenly spending more time in relationship or with partnership. So if you're married or if you have a partner, there's lots of good things happening for them. Maybe you're spending more time with them. If you're single, it might be a time where, somebody comes into your life and you end up connecting in a relationship. Obviously, Jupiter is moving into a double-bodied sign. So this could also mean that there's more than one potential suitor that's popping up for you. Jupiter also rules your fourth house of home and family. And so Jupiter kind of rising in the seventh house means that it can be bringing you into more contact with your siblings, your neighbors, your schoolmates, your classmates, and just be spending time talking and connecting with other people more frequently, learning with them, maybe traveling, road tripping with them. That's definitely a theme. Now, something else that comes to mind is just like relationship blessings in general. Like, you know, how other people can really be supportive of you. And the more that you're spending time with other people, you realize like actually life can be pretty damn sweet. You'll see some sextiles between Jupiter in your 7th house to your 5th house. So it can be a wonderful time for romance and meeting others. Now, eventually you'll start to see Jupiter in the 7th house slow down and it's retrograde and it'll square Saturn. So it does mean that, you know, some of the relationship expansion is coming from or emerging from home and family relationships, responsibility for home and family. So it's almost like Saturn's going to keep you grounded and it's not going to let you wander too far. For some of you guys, it might mean like, I can't be traveling with a partner all the time. You know, I've got a mom I'm taking care of, or I've got a grandma that I visit on the weekends. I'm taking care of a home, I'm renovating something, I'm rebuilding my kitchen, something like that. And you're telling partners like, I can't always be around. So there is some sense of, you know, home and family obligation that's tethering and keeping you from going too far. For some people, it can be that families like, you know, like you're going to get married, move away, you're going to relocate. Why would you do that? Where are you going? And so, you know, Saturn can kind of seem like it's putting the damper on some of the positivity and some of the growth. And so it could also mean that you found the person and you guys are just trying to figure out where you want to live. And you're trying to find ways to like navigate, finding the right place to kind of settle into. What else? And then obviously, you know, you'll have an eclipse in Pisces. That's going to be in the fall, and that's going to be in the 4th house. And that might start to kind of show you some of the big changes that are coming with the home and family shifts taking place. At the time, Jupiter, the ruler, will be in the 7th house. So some of those changes going on at the home front might be that a partner has like a bright idea and they're like, here's how we remedy the situation. You've got your place, I've got mine. Maybe we do 6 months at your house, 6 months at mine. Or, you know, move your parents in with us, it'll be fine. Or, you know, I want to be with you. Okay, move across the country. So there will be some kind of conversation about how relationships can evolve through problem solving on the home front. And that's it. So good luck, my Saggies. We've got Capricorn and Capricorn rising. For your horoscope for 2024, can we get a hallelujah? Pluto's leaving your sign. Okay, it'll spend like 1 month or so at 29 degrees, but like bon voyage. Bye. See you later, Pluto. Pluto's leaving. He is moving into Aquarius. So finally you start to kind of get a look at this new and improved version of you. And we can see that you have definitely gone to hell and back and you've gone through some significant change or transformation. Now Pluto is sitting in your 2nd house of personal resources, money, power, and possessions. I think it'll be nice because I think that this is about, you know, now that you've gone through the changes, now a real significant change to your self-esteem, a change to your personal finance, a change to your financial goals. I think that's going to be a big theme. I think about the eclipses that are taking place in Libra and also in Aries, which, like all the cardinal signs, it's sending you for a bit of a tailspin. You and Cancer in particular, because you guys are the ones that are kind of smack dab in between the North Node nodal growth and the South Node kind of releasing. And so for Capricorn placements, what you're going towards is the North Node in Aries, which is going to be buying your first home, moving back home, being with family, reflecting, learning how to let things go, to say goodbye to houses, people, or things. I think it's also going to be probably about moving or movement. That can happen here as well. When we start having the eclipses in Aries, you know, Mars is going to be conjunct Saturn in your 3rd house. So it can be about moves, having, you know, some challenging conversations with family about situations, particularly siblings, about traveling or home or family matters. And then we're going to have eclipses in Libra with the South Node, where we are releasing and letting go of old storylines about who we have to be out in the world and who we have to partner with, or what you're doing for a living professionally, and really kind of learning to let some of that stuff go. Obviously, you know, Capricorn season coming up here, and also, you know, Cancer season in the summer. Those are turning points where like things get really loud, right? Because planets are going to sit either on your ascendant or in your sign this December, January, saying, okay, you know, how am I going to initiate some of these changes or new beginnings? So you're going to feel the pressure. And then over the summer, it's going to be how other people come into your life and they impact your home, your family, and also your career. So just take note of when planets are going through the cardinal signs, because you're going to feel that pressure. I personally feel like the more that you're doing soul searching, the more that you're connecting with family, the more that you're focusing on building your foundation, the better, right? And so not a lot of people realize, and I will let you in on this, I didn't tell you their signs this, but not a lot of people realize that Pisces is about what we're wrapping up. Regardless of what house it's in, it's like this thing is fading away. Something new is going to emerge. And what I see here is Saturn and Neptune over the next couple of years are going to come into conjunction. And when they conjunct the first time, it's at 0 degrees of Aries. That's the first degree of the zodiac. That means there's about to be a dramatic change in regards to your home and your family. That means there's about to be a whole new sense of making your dreams a reality when it comes to your home, your living situation. And so really, like, something new is coming one way or another in another couple years. So getting the show on the road and being prepared for that. And maybe that means having harder, difficult conversations with relatives about parents' health. Maybe that means that you're having to cut back and make some sacrifices now to be able to have more independence in your living situation, or maybe to live a more nomadic life, right, Aries? But you're starting to do these things now. And then finally, thank God for Saturn. So Saturn rules your chart, and it's going to be a huge talking point for the next two signs. But throughout the year, especially the second half of the year, when Jupiter goes into your 6th house, it might represent some kind of growth in regards to health, habits, routines. It might mean that you are working more, you're busy, and Saturn is going to square Jupiter. Okay, so it tells me that communication and being clear about your boundaries is really going to help you from feeling sick, overworked, stressed out, or doing too much. So there's a need to kind of speak up, basically. You'll see this the whole second half of the year. Saturn in the 3rd might mean that you need contracts. It might mean that you need to have serious conversations. It may mean that you need to have some sense of being a little bit more cautious before buying the newest iPhone or before buying a brand new car. You might be really dedicated to taking time to really stop and think things through before you make moves. So your planet is kind of saving you from kind of getting in too deep and potentially doing too much, or maybe having a little bit of some mental strife. Jupiter, after all, it does kind of make things bigger. And I think about how Jupiter rules your 12th house, and it's going to go into the 6th. So it can be about stress. Going for walks, journaling, having some kind of practice with your hands. Maybe you want to learn tarot, maybe you want to play guitar, maybe you want to play piano, you want to paint. Something that's going to kind of help calm your nerves down a little bit and give you a little bit of break from the daily kind of grind. Okay, that's something that I would look for. But I mean, thank God Pluto's out of your sign. So, by the end of this year, you're really going to see such a significant shift. And I think really, Saturn sextiling your ascendant, and we're also going to see sextiles to Jupiter, is about finding ways to communicate and express yourself and like learning how to kind of have a little bit more of a peaceful life. Good luck, Capricorn. We've got Aquarius and Aquarius rising. What's going on, guys? Well, obviously, you're one of the stars of 2024 because Pluto's going to be going into your sign. You saw a brief sneak preview of this in the spring of this year in 2023. We had only about 2.5 months or so where Pluto was in your sign. And here it is back again in the new year. Now, this could be a period where, I was going to say, are you famous or are you infamous? What's going on? One of the two. Pluto rules power, but it also rules your 10th house of career and reputation, and it is now rising on your ascendant. So some of you guys might feel like you're in your villain era. Others are feeling like you're really open to change and transformation and self-empowerment. I definitely feel like this is a huge turning point for a lot of you when it comes to feeling like you're the master of your own destiny. In the background, I think about how Uranus is the dispositor for Pluto, and we will see in April and May, Jupiter and Uranus come together. So it might mean that you are the person initiating big changes for your home or for your family. It may mean that you're considering moving to foreign lands, living in a communal lifestyle, doing something different or unconventional when it comes to your living situation, living off the land, living abroad, like some kind of communal living, something like that can be happening for you here. And eventually we will see Pluto and Jupiter come into a trine. So this is actually going to be the end of May, beginning of June. So Jupiter, which rules money and personal spending power, will go into your 5th house of creativity and hobbies, and it's going to trine Pluto. And here's what I think. I think some Aquarius and Aquarius risings are going to fall like wildly in love with a new hobby. I think some of you guys are going to make a substantial amount of money in either gambling or market speculation. I think some of you guys are going to see a hobby totally take off, and it can be very lucrative. And there can be obviously family expansion happening with Pluto on your ascendant, which, you know, Pluto can be about pregnancy, but it can be a major transformation of just your appearance. So it might mean that something new is emerging where you're like, nope, I used to be an employee, but now I'm a CEO, or I used to be a CEO and now I'm a mom. So it really depends on where you're at in that. I think about how also you're going to experience, Saturn, that is also your co-ruler, and it's going to be sextiling Jupiter and Uranus. So the more that you're practical and sensible when it comes to your resources, your spending habits, your budget, the more that you can actually start to structure and create this growth that you're going to be having at home and within the home front. So it's like maybe you're saving money because you want to buy a home, and maybe you realize the way to do that is to, let's go and buy some acreage with some friends or with some family. And you're building something systematically so that way you can have this like future opportunity for everybody involved. You will start to see with Pluto on your ascendant that, the opposition to your 7th house can be kind of tricky because it will challenge the way that you have relationships with other people. So be mindful that some people can see you as intense, mysterious, secretive, but also unwilling to be flexible, unwilling to make changes. But perhaps when Pluto trines Jupiter, people will start to see that there was a reason why that was the case, because you actually wanted to be able to provide more opportunity for those who you love. The truth is like, look, all next year with Pluto in your sign, I think that in itself is like a really big shift. But I also feel like I would really pay attention to what's going on in the springtime, because those conjunctions with Jupiter and Uranus, and also, as other planets come into contact with Uranus, you're going to start to see that I think the changes or the upending that's going on in your family or in your living situation, although it seems kind of chaotic, it might actually be one of the best things that could ever happen to you. Okay? Roll with the punches, Aquarius. That's my advice. Oh, and one other thing. The Mars retrograde. So you're going to have Mars retrograde at the end of December of 2024 into the beginning of 2025. Mars, which rules your personal career and status, will retrograde from Leo back into Cancer. Reworking relationships at work, reworking professional and romantic relationships in life. You're going to see Pluto do a very uncomfortable dance between Mars, and it can mean that a partner is in and out or back and forth. It can represent going back and forth, trying to negotiate a deal with a new potential relationship professionally out in the world. It can also represent somebody returning or coming back to you or reassessing their relationship to you in general. Good luck. And we have Pisces and Pisces rising for you guys for 2024. Really, the big one for me is, for starters, Saturn and Neptune in your sign, right? You have it now, but you're going to see them get closer over this next year. And this is going to be about making your dreams a reality. Now, eventually, like I said, in 2025, we're going to see Saturn and Neptune start coming into conjunction. And that is going to represent like the ending of one cycle, the beginning of another. But I think that this is really about making your dreams a reality. In 2024, you'll see that Saturn is actually sextiling Jupiter and Uranus, which means the more steadfast you are and committed to responsibility, goals, and timing, and speaking, writing, them into reality, the more likely that they're willing to manifest. I think that it's tricky, right? Having Saturn in your first house, there can be a sense of being too rigid and blocked and too fixated on something. And having Neptune on your ascendant can be where you throw all caution to the wind and you hit snooze and you're not checked in and you're always just kind of lost in fantasy world, or you're daydreaming, or you're kind of picking up something from the ethers. So you might find yourself kind of like going back and forth between these two and swinging and trying to find a way to be able to kind of find a place in the middle. I do believe for you, you know, the eclipses in mid-September of 2024, we're going to see the very first eclipse taking place in the series of eclipses in Pisces and Virgo in your sign. This particular eclipse is going to be in between Saturn and Neptune, so it's that sweet spot where you're trying to kind of find your equilibrium, ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is going to be in your fourth house. So it'll be a part of a mutable square, basically, between your first house, your seventh house, and your fourth, where through going home or expanding your home or having more than one home or going back and forth between two places gives you the opportunity to do both. And so I've seen some Pisces risings go, well, you know, it's better for me to kind of have intermittent breaks where I go to my vacation home and I can stay there for a little bit and then I come back and then I work, 8 weeks straight. It might be something like that for some of you guys, or it might mean that you're considering the possibility of like fully relocating to a new place. But this is about being able to kind of not get too overzealous, I think, about your home dreams and staying totally committed and focused on what's best for you and not letting like relationships or family kind of cloud that, right? I think about Jupiter conjunct Uranus in April, and Jupiter being your traditional ruler and the conjunction to Uranus in the third house, that this really is going to materialize as, I think, learning more about spirituality, reading, watching videos, listening to podcasts. Some of you guys are going to be learning astrology. Some of you guys are going to be reading books. Some of you guys are going to be learning new languages. Technology is a huge theme here because Jupiter and Uranus might indicate new gadgets, futuristic things, electric vehicles, sporadic travel. And Uranus being the ruler of the 12th house tells me that there's like these subconscious like thoughts and ideas that are going to start emerging. So writing them down and keeping a journal, I think, is really important. It may also materialize as a move, a sudden opportunity for a move, because the third house is movement. But definitely be open to learning something new. Watch for those eclipses that are going to be taking place. Obviously, you've got eclipses in the second and the 8th house this year, so it's money related, finding ways to be more self-sufficient and more capable. Huge themes happening with that in April through June as planets go through Aries, where you're learning how to invest in yourself. And the more that you do that, the more likely that you're going to be experiencing freedom. Good luck. I hope this is helpful for you guys and getting a little bit of insight as to what to be expecting for the biggest trends for your personal rising sign or your sun sign for 2024. If you guys like that and you want to see more of it, make sure you click the bell button below so you're alerted as to when I have new videos coming out on the channel. I definitely recommend joining me for my New Year's Day video. I'm really excited to have that presentation and bring all this information to you guys in my private viewing. Once again, if you want to pick up tickets to that, you can head over to beyondtheveiltarot.com and you can sign up, and we'll be sending out in December this private link for you guys to join in. But also, if you want to get your own reading for your personal astrology for 2024, consider booking a reading with me. You can find my schedule available online on my website. I also teach tarot and astrology, and I sell all kinds of cool astrology calendars. Whether you're looking for printed or digital versions, we've got you covered for 2024. What transits are you guys looking forward to the most? How is this already starting to manifest for you? Leave me your comments below. As always, I love hearing from you guys, and I look forward to a very happy new year. Let's rejoice in the Mercury trine Jupiter moment today. I think we all could use a little bit of good luck, some positivity, and some optimism as we head into 2024. Until next time, I'll see all of you guys very soon. Take care.